Hi everyone, welcome to another installment of Travel Tutorials with My Happy Suitcase. Today I'm going to talk about your experience on the plane. So you plan for your trip, super excited, you're getting on the plane. Chances are if you're traveling abroad it's going to be a red eye. So anywhere between 5 hours and potentially even up to 8 or 9 hours. So there's some things that I've learned over the years that I do and take with me to just make my trip as comfortable as possible. So I'm going to show you and walk you through sort of what's in my bag of tricks, so to speak, for when I travel on an overnight flight. So first thing I always have with me is some kind of water bottle. So I typically travel with refillable water bottles. So I have this tiny one that I use sometimes if I'm taking it with me in a day pack, maybe something a little bigger. A friend of mine brought this one back for me from Norway, which is great. It kind of rolls up into nothing. You can get these here in the States, so I have seen them since, but it unrolls and it makes a nice water bottle. I put a carabiner on it. The reason why I say you should definitely have a refillable bottle of water is on those overnight flights, those long haul flights, if you get really dehydrated, you kind of don't always notice it, especially if you're someone who is able to sleep on the planes. But it's really important to have a bottle with you so you can stay really well hydrated, because it's one of the most important things. You get headaches, otherwise you just don't feel as well. And I find if I'm well hydrated, I tend to bounce back a bit easier with jet lag. The other nice thing is then you have your refillable water for the rest of your trip, so you can keep filling it up as you go instead of buying water. I do actually have a bag of tricks. So I have this little bag. It stays packed all the time because these are the things that I always take on the plane. And so here are some of the things. Some might be kind of obvious to you, but some might not be. So of course, neck pillow. I love this. It's an inflatable neck pillow. So as opposed to the ones that are already made with maybe memory foam or some type of, I don't know, beanbag type of neck pillows, this one doesn't really take up much space. So I can unzip it. I can blow it up to however kind of firm I like it to be. And then I have it stick around my neck. I have it for the flight. And when the flight's over, I just open up the valve, squash it down, put it away. Again, it takes up no space whatsoever. So I love the inflatable neck pillows. This one might make me seem like an old lady, but flight socks. It is really important that you get good circulation when you're flying, especially long haul flights. There's not a lot of room to move around. You can only get up and down and move around so many times. So it's really important to make sure your circulation stays good so you don't end up with blood clots. So I actually do wear flight socks. They do help improve. They give you some support. The other thing I like about flight socks is that it keeps your legs from swelling up really big. So if you've never flown transatlantic before, you get pretty puffy on the flight. So if you take your shoes off, as I like to do, sometimes it's hard to get them back on. But if you wear flight socks, then not only are you don't have bare feet on the plane, which is gross, but you also have the ability to then sort of keep yourself compressed. Now, with the idea in mind of the flight socks, my feet are always cold. Plus, again, I'm not a huge fan of people taking off shoes on planes unless you're prepared to cover your feet up with something else. So I'll often travel with either little kind of foldable slippers, or I have these kind of crazy fun wool socks that I picked up. So they're nice and warm. I put them on over my flight socks. They keep my feet warm. And then, I can walk around on the plane and it's not quite so icky. And then when I get home, I just toss them in the wash. In my bag also, an eye mask. You might not think an eye mask is really necessary, but maybe you're someone who sleeps really easily on a plane. I'm not one of those people. So having an eye mask really helps me just block out all of the light. Because even though you're flying overnight and it's dark out and it's dark on the plane, there's always a certain level of low light on the plane. Plus you have glares from everybody's movie screens, because every flight pretty much transatlantic now has its own movie screen. So this helps me just block out all of that light and make it a little bit easier for me to fall asleep. You can even get some of these that are scented with things like lavender. That's supposed to help you get to sleep and stay asleep as well. Along the lines of kind of the sleeping factor, I do also always have earplugs. So you can get different kinds. There's foam earplugs, wax earplugs. I find wax is a bit better than foam. It cuts out more of the noise. These are little noise canceling earplugs. If you have noise canceling headphones, those are great too, especially because you can even put on some very kind of low level music that kind of lulls you to sleep. But it's incredible when you are trying to sleep on the plane just how much noise there is. So I always have my little earplugs in my bag of tricks. Wipes. Certainly in the current era of the pandemic, wipes are all essential. But even pre-pandemic and post-pandemic, I always travel with wipes. Tabletops on the planes aren't always the cleanest. I heard a kind of horrifying story about how unclean airplane water is in the bathroom. So I just always have these in my package, so that that way, if you have anything that you feel like you need to wipe down, you want to wipe down your hands, even at the airport, that sort of thing. It's a good thing to have. I also keep these in my day bag everywhere I go to, so it's not just in my bag of tricks. Hand lotion. So going back to the idea that the plane is really dry, you get very dehydrated. Your hands, you'll start to notice, start to feel really dry too. So I always just keep this little tube of hand lotion. It's less than 3 ounces. I love these little tubes from Bath and Body Works because they don't take up much space. They fit in the TSA requirements, but there's lots of times when if I didn't have this, I was just really upset that I couldn't use some kind of hand cream because my hands are just so dry. And along with dry hands, I always keep some sort of lip balm. So a chapstick or Blistex or something along those lines. Again, you get dehydrated, your lips get dry, it can be quite uncomfortable, especially with the salty food that you get served on the airplane. So I always make sure I have lip balm in my bag of tricks. And then the last thing I always have in this bag is your basic pen. So why a pen? You, depending on where you go, will have to fill out a landing card. So the flight attendants will pass out a card where it's your name, your date of birth, your passport number, and you'll have to put the address of where you're going to be staying, maybe the duration of your stay, the flight number, and you have to turn that in. So when you go to the immigration checkpoint, you'll give them your passport and your landing card. Most planes don't come with pens stashed in the pockets. So if you don't have one of these on board, then you have to wait until you get to the immigration hall and hope that the pens that they attach on the chains actually work, or ask somebody else to borrow one of their pens. So I just found that if I have my own pen in my bag, then I'm prepared for anything in terms of a landing card. Not everybody requires a landing card, but some countries still do. Some things I'd say, not necessarily in my bag of tricks, but also go with me on the plane for comfort, is a scarf. Now, even in the summer, I will travel with some sort of scarf. So you'll get a blanket on the plane, which is great. It'll help keep you warm. But I've discovered that it's incredible how much warmer you can be if you just have a simple scarf to wrap around your neck. You can wrap around your shoulders. You can, add extra layer of warmth on your body. I usually just pack one that's kind of basic because then I can use it over and over during my trip. Accessorize a little bit, make something look a little more fancy and dressed up than it is. But having a scarf on a plane, there's the air coming down. I can't tell you how many times this has saved me keeping me warm. And then my last sort of on-flight comfort. Now this is a little unusual, I have to admit, and I've gotten some looks from people when I've used this. But it's an inflatable exercise ball. So down to nothing, has this place where I can stick in a straw, blow it up, put the little plug in, and inflate it. So why on earth would I bring one of these? Well, when you're flying in coach, your chair, which reclines about that much, is kind of all that you get in terms of comfort to help you sleep. If you fly in other classes, they have footrests, but not in coach. And so I have found that if you blow this ball up, and again, you don't have to blow up the whole way, you kind of have to gauge how much space you have. Stick it under your seat, put your feet on it. It gives you a really nice footrest for the duration of the flight, and you'd be amazed how much better you feel, how much more you can sleep or even just relax when you have your feet elevated a little bit. It's also better for your circulation. And then you can also use it to do some exercises. So as I mentioned, you have to really get up and move as much as you can. The flight socks help with circulation. But if you have this little ball under your seat, you can be rolling it around with your feet, with your ankles, go from side to side, roll it in, roll it out. So you can actually get some circulation exercises from your seat just by using the little ball. And then again, once the flight lands, you just deflate it, stick it in your bag, and it takes up no space whatsoever. So I hope my bag of tricks has been helpful with giving you some ideas of things to take on your next trip. For more travel ideas and tips, you can check out the other videos on this YouTube channel or go to myhappysuitcase.com. Thanks for watching.